Well, families desperately tried to escape the rising floodwaters, and they climbed onto roofs. They did anything they can to live, but Kamala didn't send any helicopters to rescue them. And when people sent helicopters, they turned them back. And when, by the way, when Elon sent Starlink, originally they confiscated it, they took it. It took them a long time to get it over there, and it's a disgrace. And he doesn't want to say that, but I'll say it. It was disgraceful what they did. So she didn't send anything or anyone at all. Days passed, no help as men, women, and children drowned.
In the wake of Hurricane Helene, we have seen a misinformation campaign from Donald Trump and the rest of his stooges in an attempt to attack President Biden and Vice President Harris with these lies and conspiracies. But what else we've been seeing is when Donald Trump, when his Trump stooges tried to push these lies and conspiracies in the mainstream media, the hosts finally do the job they should have done a long time ago and just kick off those perpetuating these conspiracies. They have a little bit of journalistic integrity for once, and so instead of just letting MAGA lie, they just kick them off the air. And that is exactly what we saw with Trump campaign spokesman Karoline Leavitt today, when she was just booted off of CNN because she wouldn't stop lying about the response from the federal government to those communities affected who Donald Trump doesn't care about. He just wants to exploit for his political gain. But I want to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting our channel. Now let's get into this first clip.
The former president has said is FEMA funds were stolen to be used to house illegal migrants, that no one from FEMA was on the ground in North Carolina, that funds were being withheld from Republican areas of the state on purpose. None of that is true. The head of FEMA says that worse than it not being true, it is dangerous that if this is pushed and circulated for the people who are most in need of help. With that knowledge, is the former president going to stop saying this?
Well, first of all, Kate, let me just express our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Western North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and now Florida, who are bracing for another devastating hurricane. The bottom line is that FEMA spent $1 billion on funding for illegal immigrants that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden let into the country. CNN and many mainstream media outlets reported that more than a month ago. Now today, we find ourselves in a predicament where Americans are in dire situations in need of food and of water. And Secretary Mayorkas last week said that FEMA does not have sufficient funding to get through this crisis and through the rest of hurricane season.
But Karoline,
speaking of Secretary Mayorkas,
Caroline, I wanted. We just had Secretary Mayorkas on, but no. But first, on that, let's keep to the facts, which is on that suggestion that Donald Trump did make that they were stealing money from FEMA and using it, and it's all gone because they're using it to house migrants. That's not true. There's no disaster relief fund money that was going to house migrants.
I don't think the American people care which pocket the money came from. They do care that their tax dollars, $1 billion of their tax dollars, went towards housing migrants. That came from FEMA's funds. That is a fact. It is reportable, and it's very likely to assume that that money could have been reallocated to the disaster relief fund that now could be used to help our fellow Americans that are in need from these hurricanes. And I would like to...
Lately, we have been talking about the impact of Donald Trump's lies as we get closer to the possibility of him telling those lies behind the seal of the presidency, which should terrify all of us. There were bomb threats that led to the evacuation of schools in Springfield because of Donald Trump. People do not have the information they need to survive in places like North Carolina and Georgia because of Donald Trump. His lies are dangerous and they need to be called out. And I think the CNN host did a great job in that clip and also did a great job right here.
So what I've heard, what you're now saying is that you think it is, you don't think American people care where the money comes from. You think it is bad that they're using FEMA money to house migrants. Ironically, Donald Trump attempted something very similar to what he falsely now is claiming about them. In 2019, Trump used let me finish. Trump used money from FEMA's disaster fund for migrant programs at the southern border. He told Congress that he was intending at the time in 2019 to shift $271 million from DHS, including $155 million from FEMA's disaster relief fund, to pay for detaining and transporting undocumented immigrants. Less than that was transferred from less than the $150 million was transferred, but money was transferred by Donald Trump in 2019 and the Trump administration from the FEMA disaster relief fund to house migrants. So is he then okay with moving disaster relief funds for dealing with migrants, but now is not? Is that what you're saying?
What President Trump didn't do is allow an open border policy for 4 years, allowing nearly 20 million illegal people into the country, stressing our public infrastructure in cities across the country, using taxpayer dollars to fund illegals and put them in luxury hotels like we've seen in New York City, to give them prepaid debit cards to buy clothing and food when the American people are suffering from the worst.
It's okay for Donald Trump to do it. It is not okay for the Biden administration to do it. Karoline, it's okay. Donald Trump did that. Donald Trump did that in 2019, his administration.
President Trump did not allow an invasion of illegal immigrants into our country again and use billions of dollars to fund them in housing, to put them into luxury hotels. What he did do is use federal funding to deport them back to their home countries, which is something that Kamala Harris is refusing to do. And she is still yet to answer the question that if she is elected president in 28 days, what is she going to do with the 20 million illegal people that she has allowed into this country, including the convicted criminals? We know there's 425,000 convicted criminal illegal aliens in this country today. Kamala has yet to say whether or not she will deport them or keep them here and continue to use federal funding to house them and to subsidize their lifestyle on the taxpayers' dime. President Trump won't tolerate that. He's going to launch the largest mass deportation operation in American history, and he will ensure that American citizens are being put first by their federal government, that their tax.
It is so disgusting, and I guess we should expect it at this point, but that Donald Trump is using this opportunity not only to lie about the response from President Biden and Vice President Harris, but try to blame migrants for a hurricane. Really? Is this the point of fear-mongering that we have gotten to? That you want to blame migrants for everything imaginable? Now it's inflation, it's housing prices, and the weather? It's just gotten so incredibly out of control, showing how desperate they are. Of course, we are disgusted, but we expect this at this point from Donald Trump and the rest of his stooges. But thank goodness they are being called out. They are getting kicked off the air. We saw earlier last week Jim Acosta do this to Trump stooge and advisor Corey Lewandowski, and we're about to see it right now. So let's check it out.
Also, the word of a Republican member of Congress who says that these rumors that Donald Trump has been pushing, in part, the things he's been saying, is not true. You say that you haven't heard Kamala Harris answer a question. I'm just going to leave it here. But I'm not hearing you answer the question of why it was okay for the Trump administration to use disaster relief funds in order to deal with migrants in 2019, and it is now completely not okay and something he's hitting the administration on now. We're going to leave it there because I offered you 3 times to give me the answer, and I'm not getting it. We'll talk more. Thank you. John?
All right. Thanks so much, Kate. And now time is running.
I implore more journalists and more hosts to do this exactly. To not only respond to the Trump stooge or whatever MAGA conspiracy theorist for some reason they let on their show, not only say, I'm kicking you off, this interview is over early, but tell them exactly why so the audience knows. You won't answer my questions. You continue to lie. You continue to push these conspiracy theories. Get off of my show. You should have never been here in the first place. We're not going to give you a platform. We need to continue to do that. We need to continue to call these people out. And that's exactly what President Biden did today. And you might have missed it. So let's check it out.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop. In moments like this, there are no red or blue states. There's one United States of America, where neighbors are helping neighbors. Volunteers and first responders are risking everything, including their own lives, to help their fellow Americans. State, local, and federal officials are standing side by side. Let me repeat, no one should make the American people question whether their governments will make sure that this is acting on strikes. They'll be there. We will.
I absolutely love it from President Biden. call out how ridiculous Marjorie Taylor Greene is. And it's great that he didn't just say, what a stupid person, because he could have left it there and President Biden would have been spot on. But he got to the real heart of what is wrong with what they are doing. Marjorie Taylor Greene pushing these conspiracies, she's not doing it for no reason or for fun. She's doing it to divide, to try to create chaos. That's what MAGA Republicans thrive off of, and we have to call them out for it. It's what President Biden did. It's what Vice President Harris is doing. And it's what we're going to continue to do on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.